Welcome back. Today we have a little work to do on the 82 SC. I had the SC down to Summit Point Raceway and discovered that there's quite a bit of body roll on the SC, so what we're going to do is put in some stronger torsion bars. I'd previously put in some shocks in the back to help that a little bit. If you take a look down here, there's some Bilstein Sport shocks on it. Okay, so come back up here, we'll take a look at these torsion bars. Alright, torsion bars, as you might know, look like this, and torsion bars are really springs for a Porsche. These particular bars are hollow, so they're the higher performance version. They're rated at a 21 millimeter, which means that the effective spring rate on this torsion bar is the same as a solid 21 millimeter bar. The SC should have 18 millimeter bars on it right now. So what we're doing is increasing really the spring rate from an 18 millimeter to a 21 millimeter bar. Now, spring rate, as you might know, is a measurement of how much force it takes, or pounds it takes, to compress a spring. And the torsion bars really act like a spring. If you think about a regular coil spring and compressing a coil spring, spring rate is the measurement of how many pounds it takes per inch. So if you compress a coil spring 1 inch with 150 pounds, that has a 150 pound inch spring rate. If you increase the spring strength, what that means is that it will take more weight to move it the 1 inch. So for instance, 300 pound inch spring takes 300 pounds to move it 1 inch. So what we're doing with the torsion bars is essentially the same thing, creating a higher spring rate. So the higher spring rate is going to reduce the body roll on the car, because now the cornering inertia is going to be counteracted by the stiffer springs. On a torsion bar setup, it's obviously vastly different than a conventional spring. The way these torsion bars work is the front of the torsion bar is locked into the control arm. The rear of the torsion bar is locked into the chassis. So what's actually happening is the car's weight is going to twist this torsion bar. That twisting, as you start to twist, the metal is going to counteract that twisting until it reaches a point of stabilization and stops moving any further. So that's the magic of how these torsion bars work. In order to change these torsion bars on the 82, we need to drop the 82 on the ground, and I need to get a measurement of the ride height on this 82, because I'd really like to set the ride height at a similar height to where it's set now. So I'll need to check that ride height, then we can jack the car up once again, change the torsion bars, and then it'll go back on the ground. We'll set the ride height, and we'll also do the corner balancing. Corner balancing is where the weight is set on the 4 different wheels to make it equalized on the front, equalized on the back. Ideally 50-50 front to back, but we'll never achieve that. Alright, so let's get the car off of these jacks and down on the floor. The car is now up in the air. We raised it on some jack stands. We're looking at the undercarriage. What we need to do is remove the protective plate or panel on the bottom by removing this hex screw. We need to drop the stabilizer bar a little bit so we can pull the torsion bar. We need to remove the adjusting bolt and pull the cap off the end of the torsion bar, and then the bar should pull right out of the control arm. Okay, we've removed the pan and dropped the sway bar down, removed the adjuster bolt out of this end cap for the torsion bar. Now we need to remove the torsion bar. Now these can be a little tricky. What I'm doing here is I have a pair of vice grips on the end, and I'm just going to use a little pry bar and hopefully this will start to come out. Now again, this is the old torsion bar tube, so if I screw up these splines on this old tube, it doesn't really bother me that much, but I'll try to get this removed without destroying those splines. And there you can see it's coming. Alright, there it's released. Okay, so all we need to do now is pull the bar clear of the A-arm. With the old torsion bar removed, the next step is to replace the bars with these bars that I purchased. Now, I purchased these used from Analog Man or Analog Mike, another Porsche racer. So they are used bars. If you pull the torsion bar out of a Porsche and then want to replace the bar, make sure you mark which side the bar comes out of, because essentially this bar has learned a twist, and then if I put it in the other side, I'm undoing that twist and I'm actually losing spring rate. So fortunately, Mike has marked these bars, and this is the left side, it's probably impossible to see because he just scratched it on there. I can tell that it's an L. So this would be the left side or the driver's side of the car. And also there's markings on here showing that it's a 21 millimeter for a 911. These markings are typically at the end that remains out of the control arm. In other words, the end with no marking goes in the control arm first. We're ready to install the used torsion bar. Now this is a high performance torsion bar, of course, but it is used. There is a dust gasket or washer that goes on the end of the torsion bar, and then the cap fits on that, and this is to keep out dust, dirt, and probably some water. Now the other thing that should be done with these is this should be greased, end to end, especially the splines. That will protect the torsion bar from water, damage, rust, as we all know that, and also it'll make it easier to remove in the event you need to replace this torsion bar.